Can I request Satyam to felicitate our guest of honor with a few presents that we have? Can you
Right side, please. Your left. Thank you, sir. All of your left is holding. Sir, holding. So, bird job was for us.
Thank you so much. I'm usually very shy when it comes to public forums, so that's why you guys would not be seeing too much of me anyways. But I could not say no to Satyam for three big reasons. First of all, there is an IIT Bombay connection, so and you just can't say no. So, okay. And secondly, he spent 1 year in H4, which was my hostel. So, there is a very, very strong connection. And one good thing he did was that he didn't go to H3. He went to H8 after that, which was very good. And my love for mythology. So when he called and he told me, I was obviously very excited. And he was kind enough to send me a signed copy. And I have read the first 2 chapters. I'm not a very avid reader per se, but the book got me hooked. My wife is very avid reader, so all the books in the house which you see, 99% belong to her. And I read the first chapter. I wanted to go to the second chapter. And what Satyam has done very nicely is that he has, although created a fictional world, but he has very smartly and intelligently kept certain known elements which belong to our mythology. So there is a sense of recognition, there is a sense of remembrance of what all these legends have done. Yet there are characters and there is a new land where all the story is going to take place. So the first 2 chapters itself have got me hooked. And I'm telling you, I'm not a very good reader, but I told him that this is one book I would like to finish. So yeah. And trust me, writing a book is a very tedious and a very disciplined process. I have seen it happening in my house. My wife's book came out 2 months back, and I have seen her write for a year or so. And मैं बस सोचता रह जाता हूँ कि मैं भी एक बार बुक लिखूंगा लेकिन कभी लिख नहीं पाता हूँ. I find that writing screenplay is far easier than writing a book. Writing a book requires far more dedication, too many things to do. But congratulations, and it's your birthday, so I think you couldn't have chosen a better day to launch your book, and I'm really looking forward to reading this book.
I think Sari is being humble enough. He is directing movies and making movies, which is a much bigger task, I think, than writing a book.
Thank you for coming. Right, I think making movies is a much bigger task and bigger accomplishment than writing a book. A book is a one-man job, right? Making a movie requires so many things at so many levels. So I think, and we love his movies, love his work, and I'm really grateful to him that he has agreed to come to launch this book and the IIT connection. Yeah, thank you, IIT.
I'm just curious to ask one question, Satyam, which is, as a writer, I mean, I've been writing for movies for very long now, and story writing, I think, is a similar process. There's a definite thought which goes into it, and there is a particular genre which writers love to capture. In your case, there's something unusual I have seen. People who write mythology will write 4 volumes of mythology. People who write thrillers or mysteries would write 5 series, and we have many examples of that. In your case, your first book was Neelkant, which was a crime fiction, and now you've moved on to mythology. So I want to understand, that how did this transition take place? Are you a mythology fan, or it's like how I write? One fine day something excites you and you want to write on that.
So basically, the thing is, I look for a story. If there is a story which I really like, I want to write it down. So it starts with an idea about a book. So Neelkant started with an idea, and it got finished in that way, which was a crime fiction. I read a lot. I read different kind of genres. So I read crimes, I read mythology, I read adventure thriller, fantasy, and then legal thrillers, all this. So mythology is this one book, one idea came to my mind, and I just thought that this story needs to be told to people, because I think in our days we have a lot of stories, lot of things with Ramayana, Mahabharata, but people really don't know about Devasura's stories. There are so many, and we keep telling our children so many stories. So I thought this one story of one particular god needs to be told, which I think is a very misunderstood god in our times. So this book is dedicated to that. So I really look forward to an idea. If an idea is there, I just want to write it down and not restricted to a genre or anything. So,
Terrific.
Big round of applause to that. Okay, I mean, my question is a little similar to Satyam actually. I mean, what you say, it was an idea because of which, can I consider that as your inspiration to write? Is it only that idea, or what is actually your inspiration when you begin to write?
basically, in a college, in IIT Bombay, there was a professor who used to say, you look for an aha moment. When you get an aha moment, it means that you have got an idea. And at that time, you can write anything. So this is what happens when I look for writing a book. I look for that aha moment that, yes, this is going to work. This is what something people will like. But then I start writing. So basically, that aha moment has to come at some point of time in writing a book.
That click.
Yeah, that it happens. This will work. So yeah, that's the trigger.
Wow. And what was that aha moment for you for this book specifically? If you can go back and remember it.
Then the secret will be revealed of the book.
Okay, so we need to read the book. And I mean, I just want to ask for a better understanding. Is this a book on Lord Shiva?
Actually, I think it will be correct to say that this is a book about not only about Lord Shiva, it has Lord Vishnu also, it has Lord Brahma also. So everybody plays a role, but Lord Shiva and his Trishul, they are the bedrock of this book series. But this book more strongly focuses on the Devasuras, which is Indra and Vritrasur. It's a war story between these two, Devas and Asuras. So, but the Trimurti, they have a big role to play in this book series. So.
I mean, I understand, but Indra is a very unpopular god, if I can say so. And I mean, why Indra is my question.
Yeah, I think the Indra is a very misunderstood god in present times. This is probably because the way he's shown in the movies, the novels, the TV series, he's always shown someone who is drunk with power and is misusing his power. But what I really wondered was, why, if he's such drunk with power, why is he the king of Devas? How is he the king of Devas? There are so many other contenders like Surya Dev, There is Agni Dev, there is Varun, Vayu, so many big contenders, but he is the king of Devas. So I started doing some research on this. Then I came across that Indra is actually a title for the king of Devas. It is not referring to a particular person. So basically, the king may be good or bad. So there may be a good king, there may be a bad king. So it is wrong to demean the host for wrong deeds by a particular king. So Indra by itself, I mean, we can see the Rig Veda, we many times say, go back to Vedas, they have the true knowledge. And Indra is the most praised god in Rig Veda. More than a quarter of his hymns are dedicated in his praise. He has fought many wars for the humanity, which I was doing the research, I came to know there are so many stories associated with him. We have Indrajal, the Indriya, that words that come. The sucking of the thumb, I came to know that the story is associated with Indra. He has cut off his thumb to feed a child without milk, so he gave away his thumb. So there are so many stories which we are not told. So my thought process was to convey one of his famous story with this book.
Wow, it's almost like spreading this awareness that we are not really aware of, which is brilliant, which is so much of a contribution, I feel, and thank you for that. A very similar question, not similar actually, relevant question to our guest of honor. We hear you're directing a mythological idea on Ramayana. And is that true?
Yeah, actually, it's not. It's our very own Ramayana. So yes.
Oh, okay, brilliant. And was it difficult for you to? I don't think so, because you said that you have an interest in mythology. So how was the process or the journey for you, or how is it going right now?
See, my feelings about our culture, and the importance of them is pretty similar to what Satyam just mentioned. There is this whole desire that our young generation of today, the youth of today, they should also get to know more about what has been our culture. And Ramayana for me is not just a movie, it's a responsibility. So I am taking it as a responsibility, and our whole vision is that with the technology which we have today, there's a great opportunity for us to show Ramayana in the visual form which it deserves to be shown as. So the last great memories of Ramayana are 35 years old, and a lot has changed in 35 years. So there's a lot more we can do. See, the beauty about books is they create imagination in your mind. And the possibilities are infinite when you're reading something. When it comes to movies, you have to rely on technology. And today we have the technology which can match your imagination. So that is exactly the attempt which we are making. And I'm pretty pleased with the way where we are headed right now.
That's brilliant. And has the journey been smooth? Has it been very smooth? Like you're looking forward to the next step? What's coming for the visuals to actually come real?
Yes, I feel blessed because I have an excellent bunch of team members who are working from China, London, Los Angeles, Mumbai, Bangalore. So there's a big team which is working because it's going to be a visual effect heavy film. So the journey has been very smooth, and I'm so happy that I am getting to associate with Oscar winners. So it's a treat in itself for me to be sitting across Zoom calls and talking to those legends whose work you have grown up loving. They are the ones who are now associated with your project. So the journey has not only been smooth, but it's also been very gratifying. And I have never done something like this ever in my life. So for me, it's very exciting also, because I love challenges. So, yeah, so
Brilliant.
That's where we are.
Brilliant. I'd like to ask Satyam, how difficult is it to write trilogy? Is it difficult rather?
I think trilogy is something which is very difficult to write because you have to imagine a big story and then you have to divide it into three logical parts so that each book is complete in itself and it reveals something about the next book and it fits in the grand design. So trilogy is something I took it as a challenge actually to write this book as a trilogy. I thought of writing one book, but then I thought trilogy will be, maybe it will be more interesting to the readers, so I divided it into three books. So I'm very happy the way the first book has come out and it really starts this epic journey of the Devasura series which is there.
This is brilliant. Brilliant. All right, we just okay. Uh, we talked about inspiration when we write a book, and me being an artist, I understand that all the artists have a process to go through. I mean, just that inspiration is not enough. After that inspiration, after that moment, you still have to go through the process of writing. How has it been? Not just how, what has been the most difficult part in this entire artistic process for this book especially?
I think the most difficult part will be to get that perfect ending. Basically, my thinking is that at the end, the reader should feel very happy. He should end on a high at the book. So, to me, whenever I think I've got the perfect ending, yeah, this is the point. Is the most difficult, which I struggle while writing the book. That what should be the ending? Where should it end? And how everything will get, all the answers should come out and it should really fit in. So the ending is the part which I really struggle with while writing books. The same thing happened with Neelkant. We had many alternate endings. It can end in this way, it can end in that way. Here also in this Wilder, I was thinking, who is finally going to wield the Trishul? Should I make him? Should I make that? But finally, yeah. So ending is something which I had really struggled while writing this.
Okay. Can I call it unpredictable?
I think you can. It will be the suspense
sounds
goes
like
till the
it.
last chapter. Yes.
All right. This is a question for our guest of honor. As we hear, you're an engineer from IIT. How did you take the decision to get into the Bollywood industry, or what was that shift for you to make that decision?
There was no conscious effort to get into Bollywood. While I was at IIT, I fell in love with the dramatic side of the institute. I mean, IIT Bombay has a very rich culture of sports and dramatics. A lot of importance is given, and sports side is something which I tried to show in Chichore. The cultural side is also equally strong, and there are a bunch of guys who are very passionate about winning the cultural GC also, unlike Chichore, which is the sports GC.
Yes.
I was active on both the fronts, and that's where I fell in love with this whole process of creativity,
Wow.
and I quite enjoyed what I was writing, because it gave you this little happiness, because what you have created is making somebody laugh in the audience. You felt a sense of joy, sense of power came to you. Your creation is actually evoking emotions in the audiences.
Yeah.
And it stayed with me, and I had thought that at some point of time in my life, I would take up writing as a career. I had no idea what I would take up. But giving up my degree was not that immediate a decision which I took. And then I joined a software firm, one of the leading software firms in our country. And in 3 months' time, I kind of got disillusioned because I couldn't see myself doing that for the rest of my life. So that thought came to my head is that now is the time to take risk, because once I get settled in my job, I'll get used to the money which I'm getting. I'll get used to the lifestyle which I'm getting. So now, if I have to take a risk, I have to take a risk now. And I can afford to lose 1 year of my life because I have my IIT degree to fall back upon. I can try, I can fail, I can come back. So that's what gave me courage, and I applied in an ad agency. Luckily, one ad agency had ex-IITians. So they at least heard me out. Other agencies didn't even hear me out. So this agency, FCB Ulka, they called me, they tried to discourage me a lot, saying कि तुझे लगता है बहुत ग्लैमर है आईआईटी में रोज पार्टी करेगा ऐसा कुछ नहीं सॉरी एडवर्टाइजिंग में तुझे लगता है बहुत ग्लैमर है रोज पार्टी करेगा ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है क्लाइंट लोग बहुत बॉम्ब करते हैं आइडियाज आई वॉज वेरी एडमेंट सो दे गेव मी अ कॉपी टेस्ट एंड अ मंथ लेटर दे हायर्ड मी सो Bollywood happened by chance much later in my career but my idea was to be in the creative field.
So you basically got inspired from IIT, the cultural side of IIT.
I mean, that's where the seeds were sown, you can say that.
Brilliant. Also, because of COVID, do you feel a lot of pressure because of big budget films and COVID, the whole situation? How has it been for you?
See, I consider myself very lucky and my heart goes out to everybody else who had to suffer because their movies could not be completed or those movies could not be released. It would have been definitely not a great position to be in if I was in their place. As I said, I got lucky. I was in the prep mode. And as I said, most of my meetings were happening on Zoom any which ways. So, in fact, it kind of helped me because everybody in the team had slightly more time in their hands because everybody was working from home.
Yeah.
So, we actually did much more progress in COVID on our project than we would have done otherwise. And I think the situation is a temporary one. I think we've been very resilient as a race, human beings. And we have braved the worst, I feel. And I think only the tail is remaining. I think it's going to be not too long before things are going to be back to normal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kudos to that. The last question for Satyam, and then I'll give it over to the media. We just have a couple of minutes, so we could just take a few questions before I ask the last question. If the readers want to find out more about you and your books, where can they find you, information about you and your books?
I have a website now and I have started blogging. So I think blogs are a good way to convey your thoughts, your thought process, what is your idea behind the book, the way you think. So I have started blogging, so which is there on my website. Further, I am available on all social media platforms. So yes, you can always find me there.
Okay, we'll let you know the links to his social media and his vlog, website, everything by the end of it. Whoever wants to get the access to it, please come and we'll give you the access to it. All right, a few more questions before we get to the end of it by the media. So yes, if anyone has any questions.
Ashwini, definitely Ashwini.
और जब आप किसी किताब का हिस्सा बनते हैं, जैसे सत्यम की किताब है या किसी भी किताब का हिस्सा बनते हैं, क्या खास लगा आपको इस ऑथर के बारे में या इस किताब के बारे में?
देखिए, like I said in the beginning, कि सत्यम जी ने जो माइथोलॉजी को एक छोटा सा लिबर्टी लेके एक फिक्शनल प्लेस में जो डाला है, बट यट जो हमारे माइथोलॉजी में एग्जिस्टिंग लॉट ऑफ कैरेक्टर्स हैं, जो हमारे देव हैं, जो हमारे भगवान हैं, और इवन सप्तर्षिज, सो वो सब बहुत ही नाइसली और ब्यूटीफुली इंटीग्रेट किया है. तो जो आपकी जो जहाँ पर मेन स्टोरी हो रही है वो जगह फिक्शनल है, लेकिन जो एलिमेंट्स हैं वो काफ़ी फेमिलियर हैं. सो देयर इज अ सेंस ऑफ excitement also and there is a sense of familiarity also. And another thing which I liked in what I read the 2 chapters, that his style of writing is very simple and very easy to understand, and I as a reader always find that very appealing because I normally find it very difficult to comprehend if the writer is trying to show his writing skills more than his storytelling skills. If a writer is trying to show his command over language more than interested in telling the story. So I normally tend to move more towards Jeffrey Archer and John Grisham kind of storytelling, where they are more interested in story rather than they are showing their command over language, which is done very beautifully. It's very simple, it's easy to understand, and it moves at a very good pace. from whatever I have understood in the first 2 chapters.
नितेश जी, सबसे पहले तो आपसे जानना चाहूँगा क्या रिएक्शन था आपका जब ऑथर ने आपको इस बुक के बारे में बताया, सत्यम जी ने इस बुक के बारे में बताया. सो व्हाट इज योर फर्स्ट रिएक्शन?
See, first reaction is you get to hear somebody from your institute. There is an instant bonding. Then when he spoke about the book, and I usually don't go out so often, but because as I said in the beginning, those 3 factors were very appealing to me. Which is his background from IIT Bombay, him having spent in my hostel for 1 year, and then mythology, of course. So my thing was, yes, I would come. Of course, I would come. I would be happy if I could, make a difference by my presence in whichever little way. So yes, that was my first reaction.
सत्यम, जैसे नितेश सर ने कहा कि लैंग्वेज बहुत ही इजी है, जो कि रीडर को पढ़ने के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा इजी होगा, तो उस बारे में क्या थॉट प्रोसेस था आपका ड्यूरिंग राइटिंग, जब आप लिख रहे थे किताब?
सी आई ऑल्सो, मुझे भी वही पसंद आता है कि जो सिंपल लिखा हो और थोड़ा तेज लिखा हो, कि पढ़ते पढ़ते एक्साइटमेंट रहे कि हाँ क्या होने वाला है, क्या होने वाला है. तो मैं भी उसी स्टाइल में ही लिखता हूँ कि अच्छा तेज गति में चले और सिंपल रहे, कि समझ में आ जाए. हर कोई रीडर उतना अप्रिशिएट नहीं कर पाता है जहाँ पे बहुत ही ज़्यादा फ्लावरी इंग्लिश है या बहुत ही ज़्यादा टफ इंग्लिश हो जाए. तो मतलब ऐसे वर्ड्स नहीं हो. किंडल इंडल में तो ठीक है, यू कैन सी द मीनिंग ऑफ द बुक काफ़ी ईजिली, लेकिन मुझे हार्ड कॉपी की ही आदत है, तो वहाँ इतना ईजी नहीं होता है. तो आई ऑलवेज कीप द स्टाइल कि ये भी सिंपल रहे ताकि रीडर्स के लिए ईजी हो. और हमारी किस्मत काफ़ी अच्छी है कि ये बुक हिंदी में भी है और मराठी में भी है, तो इसका आउटरीच ज़्यादा होगा. ऐसी उम्मीद है कि काफ़ी अच्छा लगा कि मराठी और हिंदी में हुई, क्योंकि हिंदी में कई रीडर्स मिस कर जाएंगे और ऐसी कथा तो हिंदी रीडर्स खासकर नॉर्थ के लोग या वो बहुत अप्रिशिएट करेंगे कि एक इंद्र और एक वृत्र. ये स्टोरी जितनी ही इंद्र की है उतनी ही स्टोरी ये वृत्र की भी है, क्योंकि मैं कहूँगा कि लिखते टाइम मुझे वृत्र का कैरेक्टर इतना अच्छा लगा कि मतलब बोल सकता हूँ कि लिखते टाइम बहुत आई काइंड ऑफ एसोसिएटेड विद दैट कैरेक्टर, कि वो इतना अच्छा है उसकी लाइफ की. इंडिया हमारी माइथोलॉजी में जितने ही हीरोज़ हैं उतने ही विलेंस का कैरेक्टर भी उतना ही स्ट्रॉन्ग होता है. जैसा रावण है, जैसे दुर्योधन है, देयर कैरेक्टर्स आर वेरी पावरफुल. यहाँ पे भी वृत्र का कैरेक्टर इतना पावरफुल है कि आई थॉट कि ये स्टोरी तो बतानी बनती है सबको, कि सबको पता होनी. और मेरा पूरा है कि आप लोगों ने ये स्टोरी पता होगी आप लोगों को, लेकिन आपको पता नहीं है कि ये वृत्र था और ये इंद्र है, ये इनकी स्टोरी है. आपको पता होगी ये स्टोरी क्या है एंड में, लेकिन आपको ये नहीं पता था कि ये स्टोरी इंद्र और वृत्र की स्टोरी है. ऐसा मेरा मानना है.
सत्यम, यू स्टार्टेड विद क्राइम फिक्शन, देन माइथोलॉजी. किस तरह का आप अपने आप को ऑथर मानते हैं? हाउ डू यू व्हाट यू थिंक अबाउट योरसेल्फ एज एन ऑथर? स्टार्टेड विद क्राइम फिक्शन, देन मैथोलॉजी. बिल्कुल अलग, बिल्कुल मुख्तलिफ.
मैं वही लिखना चाहता हूँ जो मुझे अच्छा लगता है. तो मुझे वही क्राइम थ्रिलर मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है, मुझे माइथोलॉजी में बहुत इंटरेस्ट है, मुझे लीगल थ्रिलर बहुत अच्छे लगते हैं, एंड इवन फैंटेसी. मेरी अगली किताब है जो कि इन्फिनिटी वॉरियर, वो एक एडवेंचर थ्रिलर है कि फैंटेसी वर्ल्ड है, वहाँ पे एडवेंचर है, मतलब कि थ्रिलर होगा पूरा का पूरा. तो मेरी अगली किताब उस तरह की है. तो मैं किसी जॉनर या किसी उससे अपने आप को एसोसिएट नहीं करता हूँ. मैं मोर एक स्टोरी, एक आइडिया के ऊपर है कि अगर एक आइडिया अच्छा लगा तो उस पर किताब लिखनी चाहिए. तो वही अप्रोच से मैं किताब लिखता हूँ और किसी जॉनर से एसोसिएट नहीं हूँ.
फिल्में हो या किताब, सबके रिव्यूज़ होते हैं, समीक्षक अपनी समीक्षा देते हैं. आपकी किताब को लेकर जब बुरा कहा जाता है, आप कैसे हैंडल करते हैं?
आई थिंक मैं बस एक ही सिंपल चीज़ मानता हूँ कि अगर कोई बुरा कमेंट देता है तो इसका मतलब है कि इम्प्रूवमेंट का स्कोप है, किताब को और अच्छा बनाया जा सकता है. और अगर एक भी अच्छा कमेंट मिलता है तो इसका मतलब किताब लिखना वर्थ इट है, कि मतलब किसी को तो पसंद आई, तो इसलिए मतलब किताब लिखनी चाहिए. तो बैड रिव्यूज़ आर गुड कि दे टेल यू कि यू हैव टू इम्प्रूव. सो आई एम ट्राइंग टू इम्प्रूव. पहली किताब से दूसरी किताब में आपको दिखेगा कि राइटिंग में काफ़ी इंप्रूवमेंट है, जो कि मुझे भी लगता है एज एन ऑथर आई एम डेवलपिंग. तो येस, बैड रिव्यूज़ आर इंपॉर्टेंट, बट गुड रिव्यूज़ दे रियली मोटिवेट यू कि यू कैन डू बेटर.
नितेश सर जैसी शख्सियत यहाँ मौजूद है और आपके काम को सराह रही है, कितनी हौसला अफजाई होती है और कितनी बात दूर तक जाती है?
ये तो मतलब मेरा सौभाग्य है कि नितेश जी एग्री कर गए. मतलब मैं बोलूँगा कि ये डेस्टिनी था कि इस बुक को लॉन्च करने के लिए हम लोग काफ़ी टाइम से वेट कर रहे थे कि हो जाए, लेकिन कोरोना की सेकेंड वेव आई और बहुत कुछ हुआ कि आई थिंक इट वॉज डेस्टिन्ड टू बी रिलीज बाय नितेश तिवारी जी. हम जस्ट एक कॉन्टैक्ट हुआ, एसोसिएट हुए, एंड ही एग्रीड एंड थिंग्स वर्कड आउट वेल. तो आई एम डीपली ऑनर्ड बाय हिम कि ही हैज एग्रीड टू कम.
नितेश जी, आपने कहा कि बहुत सरल तरीके से कहा गया है, ज़्यादा अल्फाजों को पे जोर नहीं दिया गया है, जो कहानी जैसे कहनी चाहिए वैसी कही गई है, और आप बहुत मुतासिर भी लग रहे हैं जितना भी आपने. क्या आपको नहीं लगता कि इस पर भी एक फिल्म बनानी चाहिए? वुड यू बी इंटरेस्टेड?
It's a tough question, I think I'll be very honest here, and I would want to finish the book, because for me, what is very important is the entire story arc, and I am pretty confident because the way he spoke about the end has got me even more intrigued. So now even I want to know what happens in the end, but for that I'll have to read the entire book. And if it is something which is very exciting as far as story is concerned, because this world can be created very beautifully given the resources, given the resources which we have today. So if it is something which is very exciting as a story, then I would say why not?
आपने ट्रांसलेशंस पढ़े हुए हैं जो मराठी में है और हिंदी में, बिकॉज नॉर्मली लॉस्ट इन ट्रांसलेशन ऐसे हो जाता है, तो यू कैन अडैप्ट, यू कैन नॉट रियली ट्रांसलेट. तो आपने पढ़े हैं और आपको क्या लगता है उसके बारे में, अगर आपने पढ़े होंगे तो उनके ट्रांसलेशन?
हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन मैंने पढ़ा है, क्योंकि हिंदी मुझे आती है, मराठी थोड़ी सी कमज़ोर है, मैं उतना नहीं पढ़ा है, लेकिन दोनों का मैंने किसी से पढ़वाया है. ट्रांसलेशन इज़ वेरी गुड इज़ व्हाट आई एम टोल्ड. यस यस यस, वेरी मच. हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन तो काफ़ी अच्छा है, और मराठी भी जिसको मैंने पढ़वाया तो जैसे कि काफ़ी अच्छा है. स्टोरी पूरी तरह से वही है जो इंग्लिश में लिखा हुआ है.
आपको मराठी आती है?
मुझे नहीं आती है अनफॉर्चुनेटली.
मुंबई में रहते हैं ना आप?
आई एम ट्राइंग टू लर्न नाउ. माई किड इज़ लर्निंग, सो आई हैव टू ऑल्सो लर्न.
निदेश सर, आपसे जानना चाहूँगी, आपने बहुत सारी मूवीज की हैं और हिट भी रहे हैं, इंडस्ट्री को आपने बहुत अच्छी अच्छी मूवी दी है और बहुत सराहा भी गया है. सर, आपसे जानना चाहूँगी कि कोई ऐसा मूवी आप बनाना चाहेंगे जो एनिमेशन पे बेस्ड हो?
Of course.
किस टाइप की वो होनी चाहिए?
See, if it is an animation film, then it has to primarily appeal to the kids. But at the same time, I would go back to my experience and all the parents who are accompanying their kids, because kids will not go to watch the movie alone. It has to equally appeal to the parents also. So like when I take my kids to watch animation movies, I love Zootopia. I equally love Frozen or Frozen 2. Or for that matter, a lot of movies, like Boss Baby. So I would want to make it in that way where even the parents can enjoy rather than saying कि अरे मैं ड्यूटी करने आ गया अपने बच्चों के लिए. So that is the kind of genre I would want to tap.